Good evening and welcome to Motivational Monday with LuAnn B. It's January 30th and I've been missing you for a few weeks and I apologize for that. I was traveling to see my husband and on the Transformational Leadership Council event. Now I was thinking about that and I'm unsure if I've told that story of the blessing that I have in my life of being a part of the organization called the Transformational Leadership Council that was started by Jack Canfield 12 years ago now. And Jack was at a place in his life of success level that he felt that he wasn't hanging out with like-minded people. It's kind of was alone. And you can see his testimonial about this on my website, actually. And so, having gone through the process that is the passion test, Jack realized that he wanted to start a spiritual leaders network and hang out with like-minded people. And so he brought a group of people together in his living room now 12 years ago and told him his idea of putting together this spiritual leaders network. It's called the Transformational Leadership Council, and it's made up of transformational leaders, thought leaders, authors, speakers, personal development coaches and trainers from all over the world who are making an impact on transforming our world. And it was due to a referral from none other than Ivan Meisner from BNI that I was brought in as one of their event planning staff and have been for the last 8 years a part of their team. And twice a year we gather together and share best practices, share new ideas and concepts. What are people doing in the world to make an impact? And it's a time for us as transformational leaders to recharge our batteries and gain support from our colleagues and go to fabulous places. So that is where all my training comes from. All of my training has come over the last 8 years from being a part of this organization, and of course my life experiences before that, but really in the transformational world, that's where my training comes from, experiencing all of these fabulous trainers on a regular basis, and I absorb their messages and I incorporate them in. As you know, I'm a certified passion test facilitator, and that's how that came to be, is because I met Janet and Chris Atwood at the Transformational Leadership Council. Received a copy of the book and fell in love with the message. Didn't act on it though right away, as many of us fail to do, right? Ideas come by, messages come to us, and we fail to act on them for one reason or the other. So it wasn't until Lisa Nichols, who's also a member of the Transformational Leadership Council, was promoting her first book. I've lost the name of Lisa's book. Anyway, she was promoting her first book, and we got involved with that promotion and brought Lisa Nichols and Janet Atwood and Roxanne Emmerich and Bob Berg, because Ivan Meisner was available, together to do an event. And at that event, Janet asked my daughter to become a passion test facilitator. And that's when she and I went to the training. And even then, it was for her. It wasn't for me. It was for her. And in the end, it was really for me. And I adopted the philosophy because I wanted to live the way of the passion test philosophies by following my passions. And I know when I teach other people, I live them more thoroughly in my life today. And so I am the teacher living the teachings. So I have a lot of knowledge from all of the fabulous authors and trainers that I get to work with at the Transformational Leadership Council, and that is what I use as my tools in my coaching practice and in my trainings that I deliver. So today, long story to get to today I wanted to share some new concepts, new statistics, new information that I got from this last conference that we were just at this month of January. and why you were missing me, because I was in Los Cabos having a fabulous time. So there was a gentleman by the name of Joel Roberts who does marketing for people, who spoke to us. And he talked to us, this is tip number 1, about the brightest lights come out of the darkness. And you have to speak to people's dark side, to the darkness they're living in order to reach them and touch them where they live, and to attract them into your coaching program, your service, whatever it is that you provide to help them with their problem. And he says, all of us are living in some sort of darkness, some challenge that we are facing, whether that be overworked, stressed out, running in circles, living in chaos, in a deep depression, fear of something, frustrated by something. There is some darkness going on in most all of us that we're challenged with. And I want to reach to people and find the light around that, bring the light back into that situation. So I'm going to give you an example. Just was working with a client earlier today who suffers with depression and anxiety and really, really has no desire to be on medications to help him with that. And I'm not a pro person of medications myself. My son suffers from anxiety, and he too strives to avoid the medications and work with natural tools like meditation and therapy in order to help him. And so this client was struggling with why God does this happen to me? Why do I have to deal with these voices in my head? Why does it get worse and worse? And there's extremes. There's good days when he's on a real high, and there's bad days when he's on a real low. And instead of focusing on the why, because when you argue with what is, you're only wrong 100% of the time. Instead of why, it is a blessing, right? And how do we look at it as, okay, what is the lesson or the blessing in this that I'm learning today? And thank you, God, for being by my side in these times that I struggle, because I know that you're here with me, and looking for reaching at the light into that darkness instead of staying in the darkness. Lots more work to be done around that, but I think there's a great message in just acknowledging that we're not the only ones struggling with something. Everybody needs a coach from time to time, even the transformational leaders I work with, right? When I sit in that room, they have a lot of the same self-doubt and messages in their head. It's a human condition. It's a human condition. But there is help, and we can help each other. So that was another interesting statistic that was shared during our sessions, is that people, when faced with a life or death situation, you need to change or die, right? When faced, even in truly a medical condition, and some people feel their mental conditions as severely as life or death, okay? And you either want to change something about what you're doing, or you're going to die in a medical situation. 10% of the people, only 10% of the people are successful at making that change on their own. Only 10% of the people are successful at making that change on their own. When supported from a coach, a life coach, a health coach, whatever kind of coach, whatever it is you're working on for yourself, when supported by a coach, that increases to 77% of people achieve the success they desire, the change they desire, when supported by a coach of some kind. That's a huge difference from 10% to 77%. So know that when you have a change to make, stop trying to do it alone. Stop trying to do it alone. Get yourself a coach, whatever type of coach that is that you need, a life coach like myself, a health coach if it's a health issue, a business coach if you're trying to make a change in your business, and of course I do that as well. My new message for 2017 is creating breakthrough change in you and your organization, whichever it is you need. And sometimes the organizational change is based out of what the individual needs to change, and vice versa. Sometimes when we make dramatic organizational change, the individuals in the organization change. So if you feel that there's a change that you need to make in your life, want to make in your life, reach out to a coach. Number 2 tip of the day. And, I talk too about change is inevitable and even vital to the success of your organization. Change is happening all around us in our world, right? The world is changing at a dramatic rate, and that's why it's so scary right now for people. And in general, the conversation we had was that people are in deep despair over what's happening and changing in our country. And we can work with the change, or we can fight against the change. And it's easier to work with the change and work for positive change and believe in positive change. Change is the defining challenge for the 21st century. Lots of change happening for the 21st century. And so it's okay to get support. It's okay to get support. We all need support from time to time. I have a coach, right? Oh, goodness. We're at a tipping point. Transformation is no longer the luxury, it is an everyday necessity, and it is essential to our survival. So that word transformation scares people, but the reality is it is gradual change for the better. Gradual change for the better. And we really are transforming all the time. It's about consciously acknowledging it, working with it, instead of fighting against it. And again, it takes a coach sometimes to help you do that. Okay? So, great message in that. One of the other fun things that came up is I am a heart surgeon. I operate on what matters most. I am a heart surgeon on the way of opening people's hearts and getting them back in touch with their hearts. So, no, I'm not a medical surgeon. But the heart is controlling our decisions and our behaviors, and we need to be at peace with it. And so I help people to gain that peace and joy in their heart and know from their heart of hearts who they are and have confidence in walking in that. And these messages were coming through with all these transformation leaders. I got an ad hoc coaching session one night over dinner. And the message to me, which I will share with you as a third tip of the night, to think about is to stop worrying. Stop worrying about you, LuAnn, he said, and let the universe flow. Stop worrying and let the universe flow. What we know and we've talked about before is worrying is a negative form of prayer. When you worry about something, you're focusing on the negative side, the negative outcome of that, because that's what's going on in your head. You're playing out a story of the negative outcome instead of the positive outcome. And then what are you doing? You're creating that which you focused on, the worry, the negativity. So we have to teach ourselves to stop worrying. So no sooner did I get back from my trip, I had an appointment with a prospective client. I expected them to sign on the dotted line and commit to a contract with me. And instead they canceled on me and said, no, we're not going to do this. So out of this transformational vibration I was in for 10 days, I went immediately to a scarcity, anxiety, panic in the gut for a moment, just a moment. And then I went, no, I'm going to think of this positively. And I said, thank you, God, for showing me that this is not the right and perfect client for me. And who's coming next? Who will be the next client that I get instead? So it's a constant process of viewing your thoughts, acknowledging your thoughts, being conscious of your thoughts, where your emotions and your feelings are taking you, and being able to turn them around with the support, positive prayer, meditation, speaking to God, if that is your universal power, and constantly throughout the day. I too am practicing like you, but I support people in helping them to begin the practice and to dive into the practice. Everybody needs a coach. So I still have coaching open for this year. Year-long coaching that I'm entering into with some people to help them fully shift and change depending on the level of support they need. Year-long coaching package is $6,000, and it includes both the personal and business work if you're a business owner. But it's customized to what you need in your goals and what you're setting to achieve, and I'm going to help you do that, whatever that goal is. All the way to a simple couple hours of coaching to get you started on making that shift. And that would be the initial passion test process. And that's just $300. There's a big range of ways that I can help people. Come on Motivational Mondays on Monday nights and talk with me. They're free if you need that kind of support. That's why I'm here. Loving support to others is what I want to provide from my heart to yours. So I hope you'll join me next Monday night for another Motivational Monday and get some more inspirational tips to help you with everyday life. Thanks for listening. Have a good evening.